Woke up this morning and looked at my phone and it had blown up. There was just messages all over the place, people messaging me. The notifications were crazy because overnight Bob Iger has been announced that he is returning to Disney as the CEO and Bob Chapek is out. I've seen so many things of like Return of the King, so many people are happy. It's literally, the Disney community is just ecstatic at the minute because Bob Chapek generally just was not liked by most people because he's a kind of a spreadsheets guy. He nickels and dimes, especially at the theme parks. The theme park stuff, we've seen all the stuff with disneyplus, the reservation system, annual pass holders, lack of staff, a whole host of stuff, and Disney park fans just generally just do not like him, and they are over the moon that he is gone. And as a Disney parks fan, totally get it. It is, Bob Iger ran the company for I think it was nearly 15 years. He's just brought in an era of Disney that was amazing. He brought in and purchased Marvel, he purchased Pixar, he purchased Star Wars, and he purchased 20th Century Studios. Now I will say, in Chapek's defense, and I know a lot of people don't like it with it, but Chapek took over the week that COVID hit. And he basically got handed Disney, and then all the parks closed, and then the cinemas closed, and then the shops closed. And so Chapek really did kind of have a really rough start. He had to navigate Disney through the pandemic, and I do think he probably was the right guy to do that. I know some people don't agree with it, but in terms of making sure that the business survived and got through, he was ruthless, and I always said he was probably the guy right now that's the right person, but in the long term, he doesn't have the vision, he doesn't have the right creative stroke to lead Disney. And I've been saying that for years, and I felt like, with the recession coming in, where they were going to have to get to a point where he was going to have to go because the stock price has just been plummeting, and that's in addition to he has just been pretty bad at PR. Every time he goes on a show or a podcast or does a quarterly thing, he generally seems to put his foot in it. He mentioned, we had the whole problem with the Don't Say Gay bill. We had the problem with Black Widow going to Disney Plus and Scarlett Johansson. Most recently, a comment was taken out of context about adults not liking animation. They kind of put that more on the internet than on him. But generally, he's not good at talking up. He doesn't really big up Disney in the same way that Bob Iger. Bob Iger is much more passionate. He's just able to he's a better statesperson. He just gets Disney across so much better. And I'll be honest, I am glad that Bob Iger is back for the next 2 years. So they're going to be trying to find a replacement for him. I think he's better at getting business done. He's just more likable, and he's got just a better way of moving forward with Disney. And he has had some issues. There's a lot of comments right now recently on, Bob Iger put a lot of debt onto Disney with the purchase of 20th Century Fox, and then kind of left. So they've had to kind of deal with that. And they are still going to have to deal with the money and the debt and all the rest of it. All the problems that we've had over the last couple of years with Disney are not just going to be able to go away overnight. There's still going to be some things change it, some things that have to stay, some things that have to move on. So overall, I think this is good for the company. I think this is a much better move in terms of making sure that Disney can grow, that it's going to have less negativity around it, and that Iger's kind of got a better vision of trying to bring back the magic a little bit. I mean, I think he's all about the money. He's a very rich man. He knows how to bring in, but he knows that a good product will give you more money. And he's generally not been so bad on nickel and diamond like Chapek does. And I think as a whole, I think this is going to be good moving forward. But there are probably going to be some issues for Disney Plus to move forward with now Bob Iger in charge. So let's jump into some of the things. So first off, some of the big changes. I suspect at the leadership level, we're going to see more of maybe some of a reshuffling of the divisions, because Chapek kind of changed around how Bob Iger done it. He might put things back, or he might just tweak it a little bit. We don't let you know. Who's in charge of Disney, and in terms of the leadership of the direct-to-consumer division, that might change around. That might be an issue. But also, there's been this whole thing really with Disney of the brand of Disney, and a kind of push. Bob Iger was always pushing for it to be a family-friendly brand, and when Bob Iger was running it, because he created Disney Plus, he is the guy behind it. We don't want to take that away from it, but Disney Plus was always about the brand and about having the best family entertainment, and Disney Plus was a huge success because of that. But there was limitations, and in the last 3 years since Disney Plus has launched, we've seen those limitations come into a problem when competing with other streaming services. And obviously internationally, we've seen the addition of general entertainment with the Star brand, with lots of extra content, massive success, really helped reduce churn, increase subscribers. You know, we're like 160 plus million subscribers worldwide. And as a whole, you know, I think really that Chapek's best thing he did was introduce Star, and I'm going to defend that on the point of, I think the Star brand was one of the best things that Chapek has done. And I'm hoping that this will continue, because even in one of the last interviews that Bob Iger did before he left Disney, he did actually speak about that Disney Plus does need more content. I think Disney Plus needs more volume, and there probably needs to be more dimensionality, meaning basically more programming and more content for more people, different demographics. But Bob Chapek is aware of this and is addressing those issues. Now, at the time, I don't know if Bob Iger was just saying that because he was trying to support Bob Chapek's view, or if he has turned around to the idea of like Disney does need to use this stuff. You know, the streaming world has changed a lot since Disney Plus launched. You know, we're seeing lots of different things coming in. So I'm really hoping we do see more general entertainment stuff coming onto Disney Plus. You know, they've added in the parental controls, things like Daredevil and Deadpool and things like this. It's going to be interesting to see where all this goes. Whether or not Bob Iger kind of leans in more on Hulu and thinks that that's the way to move forward. Hopefully at some point he can sort out the deal with Comcast. I would imagine he's got probably a better shot at getting it done before 2024 when the Hulu deal kind of comes up. And maybe you can sort out some of the other issues with HBO and stuff like this. So I'm hoping that this stuff can get sorted. But it does have a bit of a cloud over the future. You know, Bob Iger wanted to launch Hulu internationally. They didn't do that because that would have increased the value for Comcast. And then they ended up going with Star. You know, I'm hoping that we don't end up seeing then Star Plus launch globally, and because it would be extremely difficult for Disney to take Star out of Disney Plus, whack it into a new streaming service, and try and charge more and do a bundle. That's going to be very hard to do when that, you know, Disney Plus has Star in over like 90 plus countries. You know, it's in a lot of countries, a lot of places. That would not be very good in terms for us consumers, and I don't want to see that. I love the Star brand. I think it's fantastic. Whether or not it could do with some changes, I could quite see some changes with it. But I'm really hoping that we see a future with this, and Bob Iger kind of comes out and gives a little bit more detail on this, because that's one key thing. Bob Chapek has never really been too good at giving. He would talk about general entertainment, but nothing would ever happen. But obviously the Hulu issue might not be able to deal with, at least for another year or two. There's also some other benefits that I think that Bob Iger is going to bring. For example, with the Vault. It's very noticeable that since Chapek took over, we've seen a lot less library content going on Disney Plus, less knowledge of the history of the company. I think Bob Iger's better at that. But there is some issues with library content. We've got things like licensing for music, the residuals for paying cast and the crew, restoring costs. But I do think that with Iger in charge, we might end up seeing more library content and a bit more acknowledgement of the history of Disney. With the Disney 100 celebrations coming up in this next year ahead, I actually think Bob Iger is the best person to do this, because he can just big up the company so much better. He's just a better spokesperson for Disney, and he's got so much passion for it. Whereas Chapek, you know, the fact that he gets booed when it's just, I think Iger is just a better one for this. But I am wary of, you know, I really hope that Bob Iger doesn't make Disney Plus back to being a family-friendly only brand. I know some people in America kind of want that, but, you know, that's what the parental controls are there for. I think now that the door's been opened, it's a little bit harder to kind of close it after it's been done. But that's my one issue with Iger on this one. But there are some issues. I'm wondering whether or not we're going to see a change to the theatrical window. Bob Iger has been known in the Hollywood industry for a lot longer than Chapek, and I could easily see them pushing back from that 45 days, give cinemas a little bit longer and build it up a little bit more, and kind of, I do wonder if the 45-day one, while it's good for us as consumers and on Disney Plus, I love it. I'm definitely not going to oppose them putting it shorter. I think it's a good thing. And Bob Iger has previously said before he left that, you know, he could see the window shortening. But I wouldn't be at all surprised if we see a little bit of a shift, maybe away from that 45-day window. So this is again, obviously, next month as well, we've got the ads here launching. I don't think that's going to be changed at all. It's too late. They've got advertisers in also. And Bob Iger has worked with ABC and stuff for decades. He knows how to make money with television. And in order to make Disney Plus profitable by 2024. They're going to have to do stuff like the ad tier. Whether or not the price is at $7.99, I could see a shift. I could see them going a little bit lower, and maybe Bob Iger kind of wants to. I could see that happening, and I think that would be best, because I was always surprised that they're going to be launching at $7.99. I thought they would go a little bit lower. To get more people on. I think that would be a good thing with the recession, to offer a lower one. I think the price rise to $10.99 probably will still happen, because Disney Plus was very undervalued when Disney first launched it. Bob Iger was very much open about it being very low in cost, but they knew they were going to have to put the price up. They still have that big billion plus, like, that they've got to keep cutting off. You know, they're spending a lot on entertainment, a lot on content. They still have to make money. Unfortunately, Bob Iger coming in is not going to be able to fix all of the problems of Disney overnight. It's going to take time. There's lots of stuff that's good. I definitely feel like with the parks element, I think even with like Hollywood and getting people behind like Pixar and animation and the studio side, I think everyone's going to be much more happier with Iger in charge than Chapek. Chapek kind of become the boogeyman, and everything he did was bad. I'm hoping, you know, generally it's going to go up, but as a whole, you've got to look at the whole industry right now. All the different streamers, all the different studios, all the different tech companies are all having to, you know, cut in, you know, drop people off, freezes, you know, make big decisions. And Iger's going to have to do that. He can't just come in and spend his way out of it. He is going to have to put some, but I'm hoping he can bring some magic back and just get people going again. I think there's some big changes that he could do at the parks. In terms of Disney Plus, I actually feel like, you know, if they can speed up some of the processes done, maybe reduce the price of that ad tier, that probably would be a big help, I think, moving forward. If they do the price rise but bring the price down, that might help. But they are going to have to fix that hole in the budget, and yeah, bringing prices down generally isn't it. But there we go. Lots of stuff to be talking about today on, yeah, it's a big day. Was not expecting that. I thought with Thanksgiving might have been a little bit quiet, but yeah, Bob Iger is back in charge of Disney. So let's see where this one goes. Let us know what you think of all of this in the comments below. Go check us out over at whatsondisneyplus.com. And I'll see you guys soon. Laters. Thank you very much for watching this video. Make sure you go check us out over at whatsondisneyplus.com. Like, follow, and subscribe. Also, a huge thank you to all of our supporters over on Patreon and also on our YouTube channel memberships. And I shall see you guys in another video. Laters.